Everybody, welcome to Fulfillment Project. Today we have with us Nikki Barua. She is a serial entrepreneur, a best-selling author, a keynote speaker, and the CEO of Flipwork, a company helping people unlock their potential and become exponentially capable in the AI age. She also has a sweet weekly newsletter I follow, and you should check out Reinvention Roadmap. Nikki immigrated to the U.S. from India with little money and a huge sense of possibility. She spent 25 years building companies, advising leaders, and teaching people to break through barriers. You can imagine why I wanted her on the show so bad. Her work has been featured in CNBC, Bloomberg, Fortune, Forbes, you name it, she's been featured on it. She's also been recognized as one of the Entrepreneur Magazine's 100 most influential women. She founded Beyond Curious, a digital innovation agency born out of personal tragedy, and her book Beyond Barriers has helped thousands reclaim their agency, courage, and clarity. Today, through Flipwork and her newsletter Reinvention Roadmap, Nikki guides leaders navigating uncertainty, disruption, and the unprecedented challenges in the AI era. Nikki, you're here today because your story intersects so much with the core themes on this podcast. Specifically today, I'm hoping we can get into AI and its impact on humans, the lessons you've learned from your past experiences and how they've equipped you and us to navigate uncertainty, especially in the risk of today's AI age. You've written that you believe we're living in a time where it's critical for us to lead with curiosity, creativity, and courage. I'd love some practical strategies along the way that help people turn AI disruption into lasting success. Nikki, welcome to the show.
I'm so thrilled to be here, Andy. I've been waiting for this. I'm super excited for our conversation.
Me too. I've been tracking you for a year. We've been DMing for quite a while now, and your schedule is wild. So I'm happy we finally connected the dots and got you on here. All right, Nikki, a new tradition on Fulfillment Project. I start with a lightning round, just a couple high-level, quick 20 to 30-second hits. Let's start here. AI, you're an AI specialist. Is it good or bad?
It's outstanding.
Why?
It is truly the amplifier of human potential. It's not here to replace humans. It's here to save us from the drudgery of the industrial era and actually help us lead with our innately human skills.
That's the best response I've heard on AI ever in my life. So many thoughts. Okay. You're an immigrant to the United States of America. Is the U.S. still a good place to immigrate to?
It's still the best place on the planet to immigrate to. And I cannot be more grateful every single day that I live here, because I would not have the life and the possibilities and the opportunities if I was not in America. And day to day, it's easy for any American to feel disheartened or struggle with things that happen in our country. But trust me, go live somewhere else and it'll give you perspective. I think we are still the greatest place for innovation, for entrepreneurship, for truly building a life that we want on our terms. And that's a blessing.
Amen. Pure blessing. Nikki, if people can do one thing today to improve their lives, a lot of people are beaten down, unhappy, feeling like they're in the rat race, feeling stress from everywhere around them. What's one thing they can do today to make their life a little better?
Stop playing by other people's rules and
go.
other people's validation, right? Everything you want is right there, available for you the moment you live with a high agency attitude. You have agency to create the life you want, to live on your terms, to create the wealth and the freedom you want, but only you are accountable for making it happen. So if you're trading your weekdays for your weekends and you're the kind of person who says TGIF, it's time to stop and say, what's going to make me say TGIM instead? Live that life.
Whoa, I can't wait to post that. TGIM, live that life. All
Yeah.
right, that's the end of our lightning round. I want to go back in history to kind of the beginning. But before we do, you just said something I want to highlight. We've talked about it on the podcast, and I just don't want to get too far away from it in case I can't tie it back in later, Nikki. Agency and accountability. What do
Mhm.
you mean by that?
Your life changes the moment you take 100% ownership for everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, no matter what happens. It's not that bad things don't happen. It's not that people don't do horrible things to you. But taking full ownership means you get to decide how you respond to any of that. You get to decide whether you want to be a victim and stay stuck in that story or use it as a lever to change the trajectory of your life. That
Hmm.
sense of ownership is what having agency is. Everyone has agency. We just don't realize it and we don't exercise it. And with agency, it's not possible to have agency unless you start from a place of full accountability.
What does that mean?
Take full accountability and ownership for everything in your life. That's it.
Like what?
If you want success and you don't have it, you're accountable for it. Examine why you don't have it. If you're super successful professionally, but you're miserable personally, take accountability and examine why you don't have that. You get to change whatever you want. It's all in your hands. But you have to know that only you can do it. If you go through life blaming other people and blaming circumstance and environment in your past, you stay stuck in that story. And I, for one, just don't believe in that at all. It's, I give myself like 72 hours for self-pity when something bad happens.
Yeah.
'Cause stuff happens, right? You go through setbacks and failures and, all of those things that you uh, really don't wish for in your life. You want life to be easy and great and comfortable, but that's not how it works out. There's always going to be like, you're going to get punched in your face. The question is whether you stay down after that or you give yourself a little bit of grieving time. And I give myself 72 hours to do that. And it's like, okay, done. I've given myself enough time. I've worked through those emotions. I'm not denying it. I'm not hiding it. I'm not running away
Yeah.
from it. But now it's time to like pick myself back up. And I get to choose how I move from this and in which direction I want to go.
What if someone does take accountability, they take agency, but they're not seeing the results that they think they ought to be seeing?
That's pretty normal. Just because you are give empowered person and you're like, yeah, I have, I'm a person of high agency and I believe I can do anything I want and I'm taking full accountability for anything good or bad, doesn't mean things are going to work out your way. Like I could say, yeah, I want to build $1 trillion company and I'm totally accountable. It doesn't mean the result is going to happen. The question you have to ask yourself is if you're not getting the results, it doesn't mean your approach is wrong. It means you may need to pivot your strategy, figure out what needs to shift, constantly keep refining your methods and you'll start moving in the right direction. And if you're not seeing that, well, really figure out what needs to change. Everything is just a framework that you have to keep iterating. To me, it's like a video game, right? Like if you're playing a video game and you're not winning, at some point you just need better strategies. You need better skills, you need more confidence, keep improving. And at some point, you're going to go from level 1 to level 2. And guess what happens? Your problems get bigger. You face bigger challenges. That means you need even better skills and better strategies to do that. And that's all you have to keep doing, keep improving.
In my personal life, I've found that once I started taking agency and accountability seriously, I think I fail more, but the failure is so much easier because instead of feeling like it's out of my control, I get to game plan, reorient, and iterate,
Yeah.
like you said. And it brings me a lot more peace in the failure because there's something I can finally do about it. And it helps refine my sense of what I actually want. I thought I wanted
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I've made many attempts at it. Oh my gosh, I'm this far down the path. I actually realize I want something different, or I take a different road, or a different opportunity appears. So I love your perspective and your approach.
Well, what you just shared, what's so powerful about that experience that you shared is, yes, you do fail more. The moment you're like, okay, it's just me, good or bad, it's just me on my quest and I'm just going to go at it. You do fail more, but you don't attach meaning to that failure. Failure just becomes feedback.
Mm,
It just means this approach isn't working, or this path isn't the right one, or it means maybe I'm not suited for it. It also creates a level of self awareness, right? Like if you're like, oh, I want to, like, I'm 4'11". If I could be like, yeah, I want to be a basketball player. Well, I'm gonna fail a lot. And maybe at some point, like that failure, the feedback isn't that the world is judging me. The feedback is, well, I'm just not built for it, So
yeah.
you rethink what you want to do. But when you take away other people from the equation, when we stop looking for validation or we stop worrying about judgment and criticism, that's where, you know, agency really unlocks, because it's not about, whether you're winning or losing and what's happening with that. There's no meaning attached to it. It's simply a fact. You did something, it either worked or it didn't work. If it didn't work, you can change your strategy, you can change your approach, try again. It either worked or it didn't work, and you keep iterating from there.
Hey, everyone. Quick 10-second ask from you. If you're digging the show and you're watching on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and comment your favorite part. If you're listening on Spotify, please give this show a 5-star rating. On iTunes, please leave a quick review. If you're listening on Substack, please subscribe and join the comments. You may want to subscribe in a few different places. For example, YouTube, you get all of our short content, 60-second to 90-second clips, our segments where we segment out 1 to 6 minute different segments of each episode. And then if you subscribe on the Substack, I summarize the episode in a newsletter. You can read it in a couple minutes. And then a couple days after the episode, I put out a self-reflection guide to help you personalize the content to your life. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please share it with a friend. Wow, I want to get to the beginning of our story arc here, but there's just one more follow-up I have to ask on this topic. I feel like men and women respond to comparison differently. You give yourself 72 hours. Do you find that it's harder for women to be accountable and have agency than men? Would you have a different message for women as a woman yourself
Yeah.
than for a man, maybe?
Yeah, no, my recommendation is exactly the same. I have found that women tend to get stuck in the story a lot more, and it's because naturally we care about other people and what they think and how they feel and wanting to please them and not disappoint them and all of that. So the whole, like, the chatter of everyone else's opinion, either on your failure or setbacks, becomes like the voice in your head that doesn't stop. There's more noise.
Yeah,
That's why it's even more important to build that inner resilience and really deep inner confidence of, being led by your own sense of purpose.
I love that. Purpose. We've dedicated a lot of time on the show to that, so I'll hold that purpose question till later. Nikki, you're incredible. 10 minutes in, fireworks already. Who knows what's about to come here? Um, Take us back to a moment, maybe early on when you immigrated to the US, when you were just getting started and you felt boxed in by a barrier, cultural, personal, circumstantial. How did that shape your belief in limitless potential?
Yeah, the early years um, really shaped so much of what helped me find my voice and own my voice, because when you're new someplace, there's a natural desire to fit in. We are all driven by our desire for belonging, right? That's just a human instinct. That's our evolutionary wiring, right? Like we survive in tribes. We want to
Yeah.
belong to a tribe. We are safer in tribes and all of that. So everyone's naturally wired to fit in. Well, when I was 21 years old when I came to America, and looked different, sounded different, didn't understand the norms, the etiquettes, the rules of the road, if you will. So I tried really hard to just emulate. Like, it was like I was trying not to be me so I could be accepted as American in every way. And the same thing carried on in the workplace. My very first job, in corporate America, and it was, at a very big company where I was sort of, 20 something years old trying to impress, these executives and all of that. And the more I became like everyone else, the less there was of me just left, like I was just like
Ooh.
turning into this
Yeah.
shell of myself, like layers and layers of pretense. And not that it was like coming from a bad place, it was just like trying to fit in. And so I, did everything that I thought would make me more acceptable. And the more I did that, I realized it eroded more and more of my confidence because I wasn't authentically me. And it got to the point where I didn't find that my relationships were authentic, my friendships, my work experiences, none of that. My real voice wasn't coming out. And I experienced a setback. And after that, it was sort of like this, you know what? I can't do this. Like the only way for me to be is just be wholly me. And I don't know if that's going to work well or not, but I don't want to retreat to anything else. And just being fully open and authentic. And it was uncomfortable at first. It was almost like shedding the old outfit and putting on like the
Yeah.
real outfit. And it feels uncomfortable, but then like you realize you actually build better relationships because people are seeing the real you, and not everyone's going to like you, right? Like that's when the real you comes out, the right people come to you and then other people move on. And that's totally fine because now you have deep, authentic relationships and you are showing up as exactly who you are, led by your own values and your own point of view. And you can stand behind that.
I had a similar life experience. I think a lot of people listening right now identify with what you said as they feel a little bit like they're a pose or trying to be someone they're not, making friends, trying to impress people they don't like or respect.
Yeah.
What were some things in hindsight, Nikki, you did, like some frameworks, some actual actionable steps you took that other people might be able to copy and paste into their life? Like, how do I become me? I've been
Yeah.
this other person trying to fit in for so long, trying to climb a ladder, yeah, all that stuff. What
Yeah.
did you do that people can learn from?
Well, it started with a lot of introspection, really, because, what I found was that the more I stepped away from who I really am, I couldn't even recognize myself, like, and because of that, I felt more and more unhappy. Like I wasn't speaking my mind. I wasn't, I was pretending to like things that I didn't. I'll give you an example. Like, people at work, wanted to go golfing, and that's what they did. Well, I hate golf. I hate golf. Absolutely hate it. And yet every weekend I'd be out there hanging out with these guys from work pretending I enjoy golf, and it was the most
Yeah.
miserable weekend every single time. I would much rather, like, cook or, like, read a book or do something else, you know? It's like those kind of things where I was trading my time and my values just trying to fit in. And so for me, it just came down to, like, a deep sense of unhappiness. Like, I actually started to feel borderline depressed and being like, "I actually kinda hate my life, and I don't even like me anymore."
Yeah.
Right? And so just going back to, like, asking myself basic questions like, what is it what does my day look like when I'm feeling happy and fulfilled and totally in alignment,
Mm.
living my best day? What does that look like? Who are the people that I'm spending time with? When I'm in that, like, what are they like? Are they like straight talking and honest and like, or are they pretentious and uppity, right? Like, what does that my environment look like? What kind of work am I doing that like brings out my joy and brings out my zone of genius. Like all of those things, I started to like literally journal each of those things to say, this is my day, these are the people I'm around, this is the kind of work I'm doing, this is how I'm learning, and this is the environment in which I'm thriving, this is even the place I'm living in, right? Like what kind of place, what does my home feel like, what kind of relationship would I want to be in, and all of those questions. And when I went through that and looking at the answers in my journal, what hit me was, oh my God, I am not doing any one of those things. Not one of those things is true in this moment. And it was
No
sort of this
way.
real, like, sort of self aware moment of like, it kind of scared me. I was like, wow, I'm literally living the exact opposite of what I want. I'm doing the opposite of what I want. I'm surrounded by people that are not who I want. And only I get to change that. Nothing is going to change for me until I make that decision. And from that point, it was just like bit by bit by bit, just making changes in the right direction.
You said introspection and then you said journaling. Are you introspective through journaling? How can people take stock of the things you talked about? Is journaling your method or is there another way?
I have a daily practice that I've had for years and years and years. And I really feel like so much of everything I've accomplished in my life actually goes back to that daily practice. And it's called thinking time. And the way it works is every day I have 45 minutes blocked off for thinking time. And it's at the same time every day. It's like early morning for me. I'm a morning person, so I kind of do it early in the morning. But it's not just blocking off 45 minutes sitting on a chair and thinking. What I'm really doing is the night before, I write down one question that is top of mind for me. It could be something I'm struggling with, it could be something I'm, wondering about, whatever that is. It could be personal, professional, whatever that is. And I just write that down and I don't answer it. I just write it down in my journal and I go to bed. And then the next morning, when I'm doing my thinking time, I sit with my journal and a pen, like I'm not typing, no computers, no notifications, no devices. And I just write down, free write whatever comes to mind about that. I'm not trying to edit myself. I'm not trying to write the perfect answers, but I'm just kind of responding to that question. And that practice has not only led to tremendous amount of self-awareness and reflection on good, bad, past experiences, but it's also been the same process that I've used to develop my unique point of view about the future, right? Like, what do I think about the future of society? What do I think about this? Like, I'll write questions like that. And because I take the time to not surf Twitter or like read 10 books and form an opinion. It's just like literally my own point of view. It's truly original. It allows me to capture things that otherwise might have just been thoughts in my head that vanish in a moment, right? Because I'm capturing it over and over again. It just allows me to build on that. It's incredible what that practice has done for me.
Wow. In that practice, have you ever been able to take a tragedy or a big loss and turn it into fuel? I feel like a common
Yeah.
human experience is tragedy, pain,
Yeah.
loss, suffering. And some people turns into depression and anxiety and it puts them on a negative life trajectory. Through that process, have you had any actual times you've experienced that and used it to stay on the other path, the path of positivity and growth?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of what this process has allowed me to do is also see patterns across tragedies. Because it's one thing to just
Whoa.
reflect on one event, right? One traumatic event. And you're like processing that trauma and you're like, oh, this was terrible. What happened? I can't believe I lost this. Or, this didn't work out my way. You process that single event. But when you are constantly using the same technique over long periods of time, you start to see patterns across events. And what I have found, particularly when it comes to loss and tragedy, is it becomes a clearing for what's next and what's new. And without
Mm.
that loss, you actually don't get that new beginning. It in every single instance in my life, personal or professional, every single loss has led to something greater and better. And it would not have happened if that loss had not occurred. And it doesn't take
Wow.
away the pain and especially in a personal loss, right? Like it doesn't take away the pain of that loss, but it gives you a new perspective about what it led to.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. I'm just soaking that in. That's like washing over me like a waterfall. You've you've built a global innovation agency, and I'm just curious, how did you keep it tied to your mission of unlocking human potential rather than just chasing growth? And this goes back to right after my lightning round, you mentioned purpose. I put a bookmark
Yeah.
in it, and I'm pulling that bookmark out right now. How do you stay committed to purpose instead of getting distracted by money, fame, and growth for growth's sake?
To me, all of those things are just a byproduct. If it becomes the objective, you end up stuck at a pretty shallow level of success because you're driven by something that lacks substance. To me, every business, every initiative I've pursued has always stemmed from purpose. And the purpose isn't necessarily just about something that's my inner purpose. It's about what's the problem that I'm obsessed about solving. It's as simple as that, right? Like, what is it that bothers me about what's happening in the world that I feel deeply passionate about solving, but I also have the right skills to bring something to the table, right? There might be problems out there like cancer. I can't cure cancer. I don't have the skills for it. Do I wish it was solved? Sure. I don't have the skills for it. But there are other things, like especially with innovation, for example, that's the space I came from. And what bothered me was that there were great ideas sitting on a table because it was taking companies too long to go from idea to execution. And if more products launch faster, more people would benefit and have better lives. And to be able to do that, you have to speed up that process. So whole thing started from this idea of I want to make elephants run. I want to help big companies, be able to innovate
I love that.
faster.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, there's going to be better solutions out in the world helping millions of people. And that became the thing I cared about. Today, when I look at Flipwork, Flipwork was born out of this deep concern for AI changing work faster than people can change how they work. So technology is racing ahead, humanity is getting left behind. And in that exponential divide, that is where jobs are getting lost, communities are suffering, families are getting impacted. And that became very clear to me. That's a problem I want to solve. And by the way, I'm qualified and have the skills to solve it. So Flipwork was born out of wanting to close that exponential divide. And so every single thing I've done has just come from a deep obsession with a problem that I cared about solving and had the skills to do it.
I think probably 60% of people in the world, maybe 80%, are working for money. They're working for success, quote unquote. Success in their mind is money.
Mhm.
What do you say to those people?
I think most people are working not for success, but for safety and survival.
Ooh,
Um, because someone having a basic six-figure job is not great success in the grand scheme of things when there's trillionaires out in the world, right? So why are they doing that? It's because it represents safety, because it's taking risks and getting out of your comfort zone and doing something that has a 90% chance of failure is not what human beings are wired to do. It's a lot safer to stay in a job that gets you a paycheck every 2 weeks, feeds your family, and you can work 9 to 5, come back home and watch TV and do nothing else. And like, you don't have to work 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, and go years without a steady paycheck and things that entrepreneurs have to do. Right. So to me, it's until you learn to shed our evolutionary imprint of needing safety, security, and comfort, you're going to be stuck in mediocrity. You're not going to be able to break through that. But when you do take that, so I don't think it's a matter of talent and potential. I actually think it's a matter of bravery And bravery doesn't come from just having more confidence or like being a risk taker. Bravery comes from being obsessed about something you care so deeply about. When you find that thing you want to solve, you find that bravery to chase it. And that's when you shed the comfort and safety and security. So simply put, to recap that, to me, what it means is if you say 60 to 80% of working for their paycheck, it's because they haven't found a purpose bigger than themselves to fight for. And when they do, everything changes.
Can a person working in an office experience purpose and stay in the corporate world? What would have to change? Because the economy needs a lot of people working
Yeah.
for your business, working for corporations or small businesses, whatever. Like those people exist. People want to do those jobs. For
Yeah.
people in those jobs, how did they unlock purpose, belief, the obsession, and all that stuff that lights the fire in their life?
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not saying purpose is only found by quitting a job and becoming an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what you choose to do. You could be an artist, you could be a creator, you could be a very happy employee somewhere, you could be a doctor or a nurse. The point is, are you living in alignment with what sets your soul on fire? Are you doing the things that you were born to do and leveraging all of your best talents? Are you doing things because it makes you want to jump out of bed and like apply yourself and give your all every single day? Or are you going through your life on autopilot, avoiding risk, avoiding change, avoiding any kind of responsibility? If it is the latter, that's when you need to like really take a look at yourself and think about, do you really want to trade your whole life because you're too afraid to live in alignment?
Nikki, wow. 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 Grand slam. Holy smokes. I'm usually a little faster paced here, but I'm just soaking this in and I'm like, this is so juicy. Thank you for that. I, I, I think it's so great. You've worked with a lot of leaders. You had a podcast where you interviewed Fortune 500 CEOs. You interact with these people on a regular basis. What's one of the biggest leadership paradoxes you've encountered? There's a lot of leaders that listen to my show. There's a lot of future leaders that are listening right now. What's one of the biggest paradoxes you've noticed out there?
Well, particularly now in the AI age, I think the biggest one is that so much of what you achieve as a leader when you get to the top is about status and power and control, and AI is disrupting all of that because the new environment isn't about who's at the top. It's about who's operating with AI in the most effective way. And so it's disrupting a lot of things where you can be at the top and be someone who knows it all. Well, with AI, you have to be, always learning instead of like, you have to become someone who's like a continuous learner instead of someone who's the expert. And that is pretty threatening to a lot of people who spent 30 years getting to the top. And suddenly it's like, oh my God, I'm irrelevant. I'm literally irrelevant because everything I built my career for, AI it could replace, and I'm not needed, certainly not in the same way. I don't have the same kind of power and status anymore. So that's figuring out how to regain relevance in a new way and reinvent yourself. That's the challenge. And for some people, that's exciting because even if they're, highly experienced, they get excited about like, okay, I can like be a rookie again. I can
Yeah.
have a day one mindset again. And for some people, it's deeply threatening and they kind of hold on to the old way because they don't want to let go.
If people are feeling irrelevant at work, feeling a little detached, how do they get plugged back in? How do they find relevance? How do you create value when you feel like you're detaching a little bit in this new age?
Well, first off, look at where value is headed, right? So think about somebody whose job is administrative, right? Like they're a paper pusher and their data entry and all of that. Those jobs are completely getting replaced. I mean, you literally don't need someone doing that kind of work. So rather than be rather than grieve the old way and your old self, take that opportunity to examine where's the world headed? Where is the real need? Where can you transfer previous skills into this new world and reinvent your identity and your skills around that? Maybe you're great at relationships. Maybe you're great at like attention to detail. Maybe you're great at like spotting patterns and making the complex simple. Take stock of what parts, like if you look at your inventory of skills and attributes, which ones are completely irrelevant in the AI age and which ones are highly relevant. Lead with what's highly relevant, lead with that and double down on those and master new skills and competencies again. When you think about a competency matrix, like a ladder, right? Like every time you have to learn something new, we all start off feeling like idiots in that because you don't know, it's uncomfortable. And then when you're
Yeah.
trying to learn it, it's super painful and frustrating. And then eventually it starts to get easier. And then before you know it, you can do it with your eyes closed. This whole reimagining of work in the AI age is very much like that. It's people are going through either denial, like, it's not going to change my world, or it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm aware, but now I'm really scared. Like, I don't know how to figure this out. Or they're experimenting, but they feel like, I'm kind of a novice. I'm like struggling with this. It's so frustrating. But once you get past that, a whole new world opens up and you're like, wow, this is actually my superpower. This is turning me from like, just like operating alone to having like clones of myself that can do 10x the work.
And when all of us think back to the most exciting times of our life, hearing you talk about like the day one mindset and feeling vulnerable because we have to relearn,
Yeah.
the most favorite part of most people's lives are when we're doing just that. It's
Yeah.
college, it's high school, it's in your teenage early 20s when you don't know anything and everything's exciting because you're learning everything. And
Totally.
then people get dulled down into their one lane of expertise. And it's like, we are living in a time and an age where we get to be kids again in a way and find that spark of excitement if we
Yeah.
choose to
Yeah.
and reinvigorate our lives.
Oh my God. Andy, I feel like I'm living my best life right now just because of that. Because I went from like someone who was known as an expert in my field, that was top of my game. I'd already accomplished a lot, won tons of awards, and got the recognition. And then now with AI, I feel like I'm a rookie again. I'm learning so much. I am learning more things than I did in like 20 years before that in days, and I'm building new skills. I'm like my just my imagination is on fire. I'm just so excited about all of the possibilities, and it's an amazing place if you're just curious and courageous.
Nikki, how do you do that? You've probably accomplished more than most people ever will, but you're so accomplished and you're willing to kind of just like let those accomplishments go to put your head back down and learn again, start fresh. How do you have the courage to do that? Like, how does Cindy the pencil pusher or Jim Joe Schmo give up what their particular speciality is that they're clenching on to because that's what makes them relevant in the workplace and that's what brings them value when they go to the party and talk to their friends? Like, how do you release those accomplishments and focus on the fresh and the new?
It comes down to something very simple. I am insatiably curious. And to me, curiosity trumps credentials. I don't define myself by past credentials. Everything I've ever done in the past is in the past. It's not my future. My future is only going to be defined by my curiosity. It's like I could hang on to all kinds of like labels and awards and this and that, but who cares? I mean, even people that praise you or look up to you, it's just a label. Do they really care? The only thing anyone will care about is how are you serving them? How are you helping them? So to me, the thing that grabs my curiosity is how can I be more useful? It's as simple as that. Not who I've been, not what I did, not what labels I got. How can I be more useful? And the only way to answer that question is looking forward and saying, where's the world headed? What are people struggling with? What am I personally curious about or obsessed about? And in order for me to be useful to other people, what do I need to learn? And what do I need to build now?
Curiosity trumps credentials.
all day, every
Underline.
day. If you're holding on to credentials, it to me, it's more like deep insecurity. Like it gives you a sense
Whoa.
of significance. It makes you feel like you matter. So you're holding on to it like like an armor, like, hey, look at me. I have this title from my past. Look at me. I did all these things in my past. But it's just keeping you stuck in an old identity. It's a terrible way to live. Everything is about change. So if you want to change, then follow your curiosity and like be useful.
I love this. I'm like, who's getting more from this, the listeners or me? I don't know. I'll arm wrestle anybody over
Yeah.
that question. When you think about fulfillment today, after everything you've built and rebuilt, what does fulfillment actually mean to you now, 2026?
Same thing it meant years ago, and every single day in between. Fulfillment to me is living in alignment, number one, that I'm truly walking down the path I want, following my purpose, doing what I'm passionate about, and being useful to other people, and every damn day giving it my all. And if I start my day super excited that like I get to live this life, I'm alive and I get to live this life and I'm living fully
Yeah.
in alignment, that's an amazing day to start. And if I end my day saying, I did everything I said I would do and I did it well and operated from a place of excellence in everything and I gave and I was useful and I solved problems, that's a pretty damn good day. That's it.
What what barrier do you face today and how are you working through it?
Um, the biggest one right now, I mean, there's different ones at all times, right? But when I think about the one today, um, I feel like there's a level of cognitive overload that everyone's going through because of the scope and scale of AI change. And for someone like me who's deep in that field and is building a company to solve problems like that, it's like cognitive assault 24/7.
Yeah.
There's just so much to keep up with. There's so much to solve, and there's so many things to do, um, that the the it's sort of like you get pulled into, you have to balance two different things. One is operating at the speed of light and staying up to date with everything, with the pace of everything happening, but at the same time staying deeply rooted and grounded in what you are about and what drives you and never losing sense of that. So that's really the, sort of daily practice.
And if you do that, you won't get burned out
Yeah.
because you've got purpose and the purpose is the energy mechanism.
Yeah.
I find, do you find that people that get burned out don't have a strong purpose? Is that an equation? Burnout equals no purpose?
Um, no, I would say burnout is mostly because of misalignment. You may have a purpose, but you're not, for whatever reason, not living in alignment for that. I've experienced burnout twice, by the way. So, like, really serious burnout twice in my career so far. And both times it was because I was doing things that I knew my purpose, but because of circumstance and the environment I was in, I was sort of stuck and feeling like I was deploying energy into something that wasn't aligned with my values or what I really believed in. So it felt meaningless. I felt helpless and
Mm,
hopeless in that situation, that I knew exactly what I needed to do, but in that period, I couldn't extract myself out of it and do something different. And so burnout is never because you're working too hard. Burnout is not the same as stress. Stress goes away
whoa.
because stress is a period of time. Like, for example, you have a tight deadline with a big project, or you got to hit your sales numbers for this quarter. That causes stress. But you also know as soon as the quarter is over, a new cycle begins. So stress is going to go away. It's not permanent. The difference between stress and burnout is burnout feels like there's no end to it. So you feel completely helpless and hopeless in that situation. And most of the time, burnout happens when there's misalignment. Either you're working with people you're misaligned with, or you're operating in an environment that doesn't feed your values or support like your beliefs, or you're doing work that is not truly your zone of genius. Misalignment is the number one cause. And so that's why bringing it back to like constantly thinking about like, are you operating in alignment with who you are, what you're meant to do? And if that's the case, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You could literally work 18, 20 hours a day and still be energized the next day.
What do you say to someone right now that's feeling that burnout, that wants to get into their zone of genius, but they're not there? What do you say?
Well, you have agency to make change, and unless you make the change, you're going to be stuck in that environment. And that's what I had to do too. When I found myself in that situation, it was like, okay, I can, stay in this burnt out state, completely like not able to help anyone because I can't even help myself and have like no energy, no motivation. Or I can say, you know what? I have the power to get myself out of the situation and go align to like whatever is right for me. And yeah, that means you give up on certain things. It means you have to take the risk of starting something new. There's all those things. But it's what frees you. That's what leads you, like creates real freedom, and like that's what liberates you. And you have the power to do it.
I wonder, that's just a punch right in the nose, Nikki. I wonder if that's why most people don't do it, is because what you said sounds so simple, but so
Mhm.
hard to
Yeah.
change environments, to change roles, to take agency and make a move. Is that why most people probably don't do it?
I mean, that's the reason for most things, right? And most things in life are not complicated. Everything is simple, but simple is not easy, right? Losing weight, for example, getting fit, right? Formula is pretty damn simple. Fewer
Yeah,
calories in, more calories out. Simple, not easy.
not easy.
so, so
No, not when
things,
that food's looking you in the face.
yeah, like, like you want to grow your wealth, spend less, make more, spend less, invest the difference. Very simple, not easy, So all things come down to the same idea is like it's not like we don't know what we need to do. It's just that it's hard to do it. And you're not going to do it unless you have a reason that propels you in that direction.
All right, let's wrap the show here. We started with agency, and one central theme throughout the whole episode, I think the common weave, Nikki, is agency is the antidote to uncertainty. Uh, what did I miss? What do you want to say to people? Uh, you get the last word.
The one lesson I've learned over and over again is that we don't dream big enough. Everything you want is possible, but it's depends on the size of your dream. So if your dreams are small, your outcomes are small too. When your dreams get bigger, your outcomes get bigger. And what I've learned is we don't dream big enough. Every single time I had a dream and I thought it felt impossible at the time, right? At the time that I defined it. And I was like, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. It feels so big and daunting and scary and it's hard and I'm going to have to do so much for it. And then I would accomplish it. And then I would have an even bigger dream. And now looking back, all I can think of is, wow, my dreams weren't big enough. So what I would say is dream big and then dream even bigger because it raises the bar of your own potential and everything you can get. It's all gated by the size of your dreams. And no one gets to make it small. And so why are you making it small yourself?
It brings me back to childlike wonder.
Yeah.
We've lost the spark of childlike wonder, and we don't have to. We can dream and we can pursue those dreams. We don't have to be locked in to the jail cell of the reality most of us are
Yeah,
living in.
that's right.
Escape,
It's,
freedom.
yeah, exactly.
Nikki, people want to know more. where do they find you? Where do they follow you? What do they do? I mentioned your newsletter at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that the best place?
You can learn more about me at nikkibarua.com or on LinkedIn, where I'm very active. And then if you want to check out Flipwork, go to flipwork.ai. There's also an amazing AI readiness diagnostic that is available for free on flipwork.ai. Go take that because it'll give you a full understanding of exactly who you are. Are you ready? What do you need to do differently in the AI age? And gives you a 15-page personalized report that is going to be game changing. So I encourage everyone to go do that.
Nikki Barua, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Andy. This was so much fun.
So much fun. See ya. Hey, everyone. Quick 10-second ask from you. If you're digging the show and you're watching on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and comment your favorite part. If you're listening on Spotify, please give this show a 5-star rating. On iTunes, please leave a quick review. If you're listening on Substack, please subscribe and join the comments. You may want to subscribe in a few different places. For example, YouTube, you get all of our short content, 60-second to 90-second clips, our segments where we segment out 1 to 6 minute different segments of each episode. And then if you subscribe on the Substack, I summarize the episode in a newsletter. You can read it in a couple minutes. And then a couple days after the episode, I put out a self-reflection guide to help you personalize the content to your life. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please share it with a friend.